What's going on, y'all? So we are back again for another episode of Power Season 3 episode mm, this 7, I think. Don't go. Okay, so it starts off with so they did a little preview. Let me start this off like this. They did, preview, catching up what happened, a little recap of what happened last week. So in the comments and on a lot of people reviews and things of that such. And I was thinking about it too. I just didn't mention it because I thought I was the only one that caught it, but I didn't want to put it out there yet. But my boo Lobos, okay, get it together, because it's a possibility that baby daddy is probably still alive. All right, listen, because everybody was like, they are transporting this highly important, figure, but everybody has a bulletproof vest on. The guy that was in the SWAT team, dude, Greg, had a bulletproof vest on. And even when the SWAT guy got shot and he got killed. So just so happened Greg gets shot and in the chest twice and he don't get killed, but he was coughing up blood. So I'm thinking maybe because of the impact and all that stuff and the way that he fell and hit the floor so hard or whatever. That's what I'm gonna think about that, because I wasn't understanding that he should have been dead. He should be dead right now. So the question is Lobos really dead? Because we can all agree on the fact that, Tommy and Ghost, they did this whole thing fucked up. It was all messy. It was the sloppiest shit ever. All right. But people were saying, maybe Lobos is not dead because shouldn't he have a bulletproof vest on? Could be not. But when you saw the preview about what happened last week and they shot Lobos, they showed his face like he literally, just stopped. And his eyes were just open like he just got killed. Okay. But like I said, when Greg got shot in his vest, blood was coming out of his mouth and he passed out like he was dead too. So you never know. But then again, Tommy patted him down and didn't feel anything on him. But then again, he missed the phone. So it's like, at this point in time, you just really don't know what to fucking believe. Is he dead or is he not? I'm just gonna hold out hope that he's not dead, and I'm gonna still, you know, I'm a little tears for just in case, but I'm gonna hold out hope. Y'all tell me how y'all feel, because y'all went in last week. I was like, yes, I feel the same way. But, moving on this week. So, we start off with James in the bed, basically having a little dream slash hallucination about, being with Angela and how he gonna be, thinking that she was in the bed with him, and how, he's gonna make things right. And she's like, don't go. And he get this text talking about, in front of truth, 1100. And so, he gets up, he goes. Angela, she's in her apartment, her little apartment, basically going off and in her feelings with her sister, basically talking about how, James basically flipped everything that she was saying onto her. He started saying the same thing about, all this stuff, them being together, it can't work. And, the the sister didn't get no fuck. She was like, "Girl, he right. I mean, he wrong for the way that he did it, but he right. You can go ahead and find somebody else." And she was like, "I don't want anybody else. I want him." I said, "Girl, you're not strong enough to be with him. You really not. He need a Tasha in his life. I don't even care if he don't get back with Tasha, but he needs somebody strong will like Tasha, who can have a little bit of the sensibilities of Angela. Like, he need a mix of the two, bitch. If he could keep both of them, it would have worked out fucking perfectly. You know what I'm saying? But then again, shit would have popped off and people would get jealous and didn't know they roles and don't know that y'all sister wives and shit like that. But anyway, moving on from that. Um, while she was at that venting, this guy comes and knocks on her door. His name is Tim. Works at the office. Okay. He was just looking like, girl, it's some shit finna go down. So I need you to just come on with me. Bring your laptop and bring your cell phone. And you can't even hide the fact that something is going down. His face just gave it away. He was just like, girl, just come on. Just come on. So she go down there and then couldn't tell him what it was. Couldn't tell her what it was about or anything. And she sees everybody out there at the office. Basically, OPR is down there. The head finna investigate the whole task force because what they find out, Mike is in the office with them, okay? Mike is in the office with them, and they tell Mike, go ahead and go home. He was like, I thought I was going to be a part of this. He was like, everybody that's on the task force is a suspect, so therefore, we don't need you right now. We're going to talk to you, but we don't need you right now, so you can go home or you can go sit wherever you want to sit. But basically, old girl was like the head of it. She said, we finna get down to the bottom of it because, we found this cell phone on Lobos, and the last number was this 615 number or something like that, 6158 numbers or some shit, and no, 6453, and it was calling this other number multiple times that ended in 0148, and that number kept pinging off of this tower over the building, okay? And it was like, the dude was like, damn. And he was like, yep, that means that whoever was calling Lobos and whoever did this shit with Lobos, okay, they in this building, okay? Somebody then spilled the beans and, set this stuff up, and not only got him out, but also got his ass killed, okay? And so they said he was dead. Now, I still want y'all to, do y'all really feel like he's dead? Because they also lied, put it out there in the public that he was dead, but he really wasn't. And they claim, that they got him and that he's dead. They know that he's dead now. So do you really think that he's dead? I'm watching as I go. So I'm trying to question this out myself. I'm reviewing as I go, So they get through with that. It basically, they was just interviewing Knox and interviewing Sax and interviewing Angela and all this stuff, trying to get down to the bottom of what was going on. Okay, Knox asked, he keep on talking about some, I took 2 bullets to the chest, and Ruiz will only talk to me, and I didn't say nothing about this, and I did suspect that Valdez was doing this, and I was following her because I suspected she was doing something with the 2 people. And then they get in on Valdez talking about well, you the one that would make a child rapist or a pedophile informant, and you'll use a child to get what you want and all this stuff, and blue, 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 blue. And then they dropped the bomb on her that Lobos was dead. They was like, bitch, they basically made her seem like she just don't like to follow rules. And because remember, when she was talking to her sister, she was like, I compromised my whole career for him. I said, girl, you did that on your own, okay? You fell for the dick, all right? Yeah, Knox, they was just going in about Knox and going in about Sax, and how Mike had went and had a similar talk with OPR before about another thing, and he found out to be clean on that. And then they went into Sax's background about what he was doing. Basically, they just questioning everybody, and everybody's, whatever secrets it is coming out, okay? So Karen meeting up with what's his face, James at True, okay? He got the money to put a bid in, because Karen's daddy is all interested in him. She was like, it's just, funny how you really got this money so fast, but it is what it is. And then one of Milan's guys walked past, and he was like, you know what? Don't worry about it, because I can make it back real soon and all this stuff. And then here come Dre. Dre and Karen flirting with each other. She was like, yeah, we gonna need you. You deserve to be better than doing this and doing that. I said, look at this shit. Dre gonna wind up fucking the shit out of her. I can just see it. That's when Tommy comes in and they ready to go, to see Milan and all this stuff. And with Julito. And basically Tommy playing Julito left. Tommy don't trust Dre. He not here for Dre because, he was there when Dre was still kicking it with Kanan. Bitch. So they go outside. Tommy told Julito, you go back and I'll call you when I need you and all this shit. Girl, why outside when they come out there, they getting pat down, Julito and Dre like, what's going on? No, I don't, but we gonna find the fuck out. They get in the car. Who in another car looking at their asses? Sipping on some straw like he was, how 50 Cent looked and Get Rich or Die Trying when he couldn't drink nothing because his mouth was wide shut. That's how he was sipping on that car, on that whatever it was he was drinking in that car. I said, look at this motherfucker just right there under their nose, out in the open, and they don't see it, they don't suspect it. Oh my God. Then we get to see with Tasha. Tasha talking to Tariq trying to get him to go ahead to his therapy and all this stuff, and she was like, I don't understand why I gotta go. She was like, you got like one more section and you'll be at school and you should be happy about that, this career day, and you get to be with your father. I don't want to go with him. I mean, you hate him too, so why I gotta be with him? You know I don't hate him and all this stuff. Next thing you know, they get into a back and forth, and then Tariq said something to the fact of, um, hold on. Because Tariq lost his damn mind. He really did. He said, you such a fucking liar. And I said, whoa, ho, ho. Tasha whooped that ass. Tasha was about to slap the shit out of him, but Tariq blocked that shit. I said, Now see, he blocking blows and stuff like that. No, no. Ghost need to go hang his ass over a fucking banister or whatever, and put some fear up in his ass, because this will not happen. Because Tasha had to get on the phone and say, Ghost, you better bring your ass down here before I kill this little motherfucker. I was like, damn, Tariq is just, that little hug and little scene that we had up in the club earlier 2 episodes ago didn't do a damn thing. Okay? I was just like, that was false pretense. I said, damn. So now they still showing us it's still possibility in a way that Kanan can come on up in there and get it through to Tariq. Oh my God, please don't touch that boy. Please don't turn him out. I just don't want that to happen. So Angela, she up in the bathroom, she going through the motions and she pissed the fuck off. And here come MJ, the lady that's from OPI that's doing the investigation. She is basically saying, I wish I had your strength and stuff, because they actually seem like they respect you a little bit, but once you get to a certain age, like once you get over 40, that's when they stop respecting you. They stop seeing who you are. It's like they Helen Keller to you, okay? And sometimes she wish she can go back to when they used to just grab her ass and all that shit when she was younger and all that stuff. And she was just telling her, you need to get out of this shit and go ahead and do something better. And this is when they put out there, they trying to find out who pulled the trigger in the Lobos situation. So they said that Lobos is dead. It really is a murder situation. Y'all, my heart is hurting. If this is true, my heart is hurting, okay? They didn't have to do that to him, no. Okay, I'm going to get myself together. Mind you, Tommy was over Angela. Tommy was over Ghost, because he was like, did you do that thing? I mean, you didn't come back to the warehouse and all this shit. And he was like, you know what? I broke up with her. It's all to the good. Tommy is not feeling Ghost right now. He is just, I think Tommy is just here because he needs to be here with this Milan thing. Other than that, he don't give a fuck about Ghost. He don't give a fuck about James, because he's just not really all the way there in his head right now. And then they got this Milan situation. Come to find out, Milan done got Julito all up on the wall and shit at the location where they at. Mind you, he didn't ride with them, and he wasn't supposed to be there with them. But he telling James, Ghost and Tommy, that y'all gonna sell this product in your club, and you gonna give me it requires a cashier check for this product first, okay? And Ghost was like, how come I just can't, double down on the next shipment and give you twice as much next time? He was like, no, bruh. And at that moment in time, before he could even say no to it, one of his associates came up there to him and said something, and all of a sudden Milan just strangled the shit out of him and broke his neck. And he was like, that's what happens when people don't follow my instructions. And he fucking worked with him, okay, for a minute. And he was like, you gonna give me this cashier check and for the full cost of the product by the end of the day. At this point in time, Ghost is like, the money that they have, the clean money, is caught up in something else. They can't get it out. And then Milan called him out on, you better talk to Karen Bassett and all this stuff. And so later, basically, they said they was talking amongst themselves, Milan and one of his guys, and they was like, the white one gonna prove to be a problem, okay? And so Tommy and Ghost was talking, and it was like, we don't got the money. He was trying to get the money from Tommy. Tommy said, I don't have no clean money, but whatever my share is, you can keep it. Tommy is just, he just going through the motions. He was like, he not trying to pay for something that's untested and all this shit. And, Milan also wants them to kill Callahan, the priest that's selling guns to the Aryans. Is it Aryans or the Armenians? One of them A's, okay? One of them, I'm pretty sure it's probably the Aryans or whatever the fuck. Either way, selling guns to somebody else. He don't want to do that, but eventually that's what's gonna probably, Tommy gonna have a talk with him. And when he goes and talks to the priest, he just has this little breakdown. He was like, they want me to kill your ass, but you need to stop doing what you're doing because I'm trying to save your life. And he was like, if you're still having trouble and you want things to go back and, forgiveness, you need to forgive yourself if you want shit to go right. He was like, no, why would I want to forgive myself? I just want things to be good. And, Tommy is just going through the motions because at this point in time, Ghost had went over there. Well, James went over there to talk to Tasha, all right, and to talk to her, see what's going on with Tariq and all this stuff, and Tasha like, he's still mad at you about taking his Knicks game away, and you not telling him what's up, and you not telling me what happened. And before he even tells her what happened, he's asking Tasha, do she got some money? Tasha was like, wait a minute, why don't you ask your little bitch, okay? What, she got that lawyer money, why don't you get it from her? I broke up with her, shit just wasn't working out. It is what it is. And it was like, girl, I ain't finna give you no money. Okay, we done. All right, it's over and done with. You want to do something, you better go to that hotel shit or whatever. It's over and done with. I'm not doing it. Okay. Um, he was like, I'll give it right back. No, you won't. So basically, he had to go to Karen and her daddy and tell them, I said I had the money, but some stuff came up and I'm going to have to give you the money in a couple of weeks or so. And then the guy was like, at first they was, toting about him and, praising him. And Karen was like, wait a minute, you just said this morning that you had the money. What the fuck is going on? And the daddy was like, so, I got investors and people that's waiting on this stuff, and I can't do this business if you don't have the money right there and now. You not ready nor prepared to be up in this group. So therefore, have a good day. I said, damn, because now he got to use that money because Tasha won't give him the money. He don't have it from Tommy. And it's not clean or whatever. So he got to use the money that he was going to front for the hotel, for the club, and do it to give back to Milan. Mind you, Dre is outside throwing trash out, right? Dre throwing trash out, and here come Kanan pushing up on him like, I thought you said that you fucking lied. I thought you said Tommy wasn't with Ghost and all this stuff. And he was like, look, I'm not lying. They just got back together for some shit. They back in the game because some shit going on, but I don't know what it is. I'm about to get the information. So he go up in there and he basically trying to tell Ghost, I want to get back in. I know something is going on. What's going on? And Ghost finally tells him that Milan is out here fucking with them, got them back in the game. And he was like, if you do whatever he want him to do, lay low and keep up this front, keep his nose clean, all that bullshit, I will give you half the street. And then you can still half the stuff and take over for Tommy when he get through. He was like, Tommy ain't fucking with me like that. And so, he was like, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. It's just gonna be yours. I'm giving it to you. I'm giving you the reins to the empire. I said, look at this mess. Girl, you're just pulling people deeper and deeper. I just cannot wait to see what Kanan got in store for Ghost. All this time that we've been waiting for this build up, Kanan, you better have a bomb ass plan for this motherfucker. That's what you better do. Tommy goes over there to see Tasha, getting something from Tasha, and a check or whatever, something from Tasha. And at that point in time, Tasha then opened up her big mouth. And I hate when they have these type of scenes where two people are talking about something and it seems like they know what each other's talking about, but they're really talking about two different things, because Tasha basically cussed Tommy out and said, I know what you did. You fucked up for that. You wrong for running Holly off. And she thinking at this point in time, because he was like, Ghost told me what went on. And Tommy thinking that Ghost told her about him killing Holly, and he was like, no. She thinking about her running off because eventually that's what he said before Tommy tripped himself up. And I'm so glad he didn't say nothing. He was just egging it on so that she can get the full story about what was going on. Next thing you know, Tasha put out there talking about something. I thought you would be better than that. Holly out here with pregnant with her unborn child and all this stuff. She probably done ran back to Ohio. Bitch, why she tell her that? Tell Tommy that. Tommy is just all in his feelings. He's so fucked up now. I just said I thought he was gonna kill himself and the guy, the priest in the confessions after this shit. I just said, oh Lord, Tasha, damn, shut your mouth up. Shh. So they back up in OPR and they talking to Knox, and somebody had this guy in the comments a couple of episodes ago were basically going back and forth about, because he was like, why don't you like, why people can't stand Greg or whatever. And I put it out there, Greg is basically doing all of this stuff because the key factor, main reason is because, he do want St. Patrick gone. He do wants to, get Lobos out the picture. He want to do right a little bit. But Greg, most of this stuff is motivated because he wants to get revenge and get back at Angela. And MJ, the head lady investigator, pulled his motherfucking card right here and there because he could not think of anybody else who will possibly have a reason to go after Lobos. He automatically said, look into Valdez. And she was like, no, I think you just doing this because you mad that she went off and got with St. Patrick and broke your heart and stuff like that. That's what it was. And he couldn't really hide it on his face that that's what it was. Okay? And he tried to come up with these different excuses and stuff like this. You'll find proof. She did this, she did that, she slept with him and all this stuff. And they was like, well, having a relationship with him wasn't against the rules. So she really didn't break no rules. So what is your point, bruh? And so they started talking to Mike. And Mike was like, you asking me all these questions. It's proven that I don't even fit the thing. And they was like, what about Angela Valdez? And it was like, what do you know the extent of her relationship with St. Patrick and all that stuff? Then when they bring Angela up in there, they tried to pull Angela. I said, I know y'all not, fuck how y'all we may feel about Angela. But y'all is wrong as hell trying to put all of these men trying to gang up on this woman and put all this bullshit on her like it's her fault. I mean, she did play a little role in it because she was feeding a little bit of information, whether indirectly or directly, if she knew or if she didn't know, to James. That's one thing. But y'all gonna put it on there like she knew about this Lobos thing because he didn't tell her that that's what he was gonna do. Well, technically, he said if you don't take care of this, I'm gonna have to come back and take care of it. So what? But she wasn't plotting and scheming to let him escape and all that stuff, and then to get him killed. No. And so when they was talking to her and they was reading her text messages and all this stuff to James, it was like, oh, so cute. Why don't you let Knox read this stuff and see his reaction? I said, stop being petty and stop playing games. And so, basically, they was like, so and so feel like you did this and you had a motive and you was messing around with James and all this stuff. At this moment in time, it was like, I didn't even know. It was like somebody gave him the GPS tracker coordinates. She said, I didn't even know that he had a GPS on him until after the fact. It was like, how can we prove this? Bitch, Angela said, you know what? What you won't do is you won't fuck with me and try to put this shit on me. Because if it wasn't for me, you bitches wouldn't even know where the fuck Lobos was and you never would have found him and got his ass locked up. Because yes, I was fucking James St. Patrick. I wasn't fucking no ghost. I was fucking James St. Patrick, okay? And yes, I had a little suspicion. That motherfucker wasn't playing me because MJ kind of pulled Angela's card and said, you know what? He was playing you all this time, okay? He was using you. And that's what we all been saying. Ghost was using her. Ghost loves her, but he was also using her, all right? He gonna try to go over there to the apartment. Pa said, get your shit and get the fuck out. Okay, bye-bye. But anyway, Angela said, no, bitch, I was using him. Because while I was fucking his ass, I had his phone clone. Okay, and that's how I got the address and where his location was for Lobos and all this shit. And she just went down the line. I said, well, you right on that one. You right. She said, so bitch, try it. MJ and them was looking like, whoa. Okay, that's a little bit impressive. I said, go off, Angela, for a second. But then she gonna go back to being a semi-weak bitch, and I just ain't got time for it. So Angela, she in her feelings. She back at the crib. She sees one of Jane's shoes. She like, damn, Pops, I thought you was gonna clean all this shit up. So something clicked up in her head because MJ was like, "We gonna have to question Mr. James St. Patrick. We gonna have to bring his ass in, okay?" And so she called the Odette Hotel, and that's where he was with Tasha. Bitch, next thing you know, Tasha is coming down the hallway, down in the lobby, meeting up with Angela. She like, "Bitch, what the fuck you doing? You just gonna be popping up in my place like this? You lost your damn mind." She was like, "No, hold up. You pause, okay? You was at the hotel with James 2 days ago, 2 nights ago." And she was like, "Why do you need to know?" "Bitch, I'm just asking because I need to know what he was doing out there. You know what he was out there doing." She was like, "He was out there fucking me, banging his back out. That's what the fuck he was doing." I said, "Tasha, stop. Tasha, stop, okay?" It was like, because if you don't tell me the truth, he gonna go down. And if you lying for him, because we both know that he was out there killing Felipe Lopez. He wasn't out there, doing nothing with you. He was out there killing Lobos and all this shit. And if you covering up for him, you gonna go down for conspiracy and all this shit. And then you can say goodbye to all your kids and shit like that. Bitch, Tasha didn't break. She kept on throwing it up in her face. That, yeah, and you can talk to Ghost right now. He upstairs asleep. Do you want to come and talk to him? Angela had the nerve to say, "I can't believe you would take him back." She said, "Bitch, he is my husband regardless of what's going on. I am the mother of his children, okay? So, bitch, get the fuck out of here. He was just using you. You was just borrowing him." First of all, I didn't like that little logic that Tasha put out there, but she was right, all right? They not divorcing, nothing like that. So if girl, I said, "Angela, you kind of tried it right then and there, but you got a little bit of balls and shook and Tasha just a little bit when she came back." Bitch, get onto the scene where Kanan and went up into this old lady house, perpetrating like he finna help her get her groceries up there. "I used to live up in your apartment." "You did?" "Nah, I used to live next door. My friend used to live here," and all this stuff. He get a phone call from Dre telling him, the dude Milan, he back and he taking over Ghost's business, and he want me. That's what he wanted him to do. He wanted Dre to take out Milan, and then he would give him half his business and stuff with the streets and shit like that. And he was like, "You know what? I think he shook." He was like, "Yeah, I seen how he get when he shook or whatever, and he's scared. It's not good for nobody. But you know what? I'ma take care of it." He was like, "What's the plan?" "It's already in motion. I'm finna take him back to his past." It's like, you finna have show and tell up in this bitch. Next thing you know, the lady coming in, and they was having good talk and all this shit. He smothered the lady and killed her. And at that moment in time, even though I really want to see this shit go down between Ghost and Kanan, I said, somebody can put a bullet in Kanan right now. First, it was the child. You was gonna throw her out the window, and now you just smothered this innocent old lady. He said, the lady was like, "Get off of me, you piece of shit." I said, "You better get your last words out, bitch." Okay? Girl, smother her with her own goddamn home sweet home ass pillow. That ain't made no damn sense. And then, Ghost up at the house, Tasha place, trying to talk to Tariq. And he was like, "I wasn't going to hit mama. I was just trying to block her from hitting me." He said, "I don't care whatever's going on. You don't ever hit your mother, okay? Regardless. And you got to do what she says, and you got to apologize." "Oh, you want me to apologize like I had to apologize to your side bitch?" And when he said that, Ghost, James turned from daddy to Ghost and said, "What the fuck you say, little nigga? Say that shit, motherfucker." And Tariq was looking at him like, bitch, he was scared for a second. But then he pushed him off, and I said, oh, it just keeps getting worse. It keeps getting worse. Tariq gonna wind up fucking Ghost up, okay? He gonna wind up finding out what his daddy is and fucking his ass up. And then he hollering after him, Tariq, no, you stand your motherfucking ground, okay? That little nigga was out of line. He was out of line. I don't care if you ain't been in that house. That motherfucker was out of line, okay? Bitch, I'm just sitting here like, what the hell is going on? These kids these days don't have no fucking respect. And then, all of a sudden, Tommy out here talking to fucking Holly Grave again. God damn, Tommy. Drinking and shit. And fucking Dean pops up, okay? Milan. Because Tasha was like, after that, so you gonna have a fucking dinner party up in my house and not tell me about it? Thanks a lot, fucking Ghost. And he was like, "What you talking about?" He come up in there, Milan is there, disguised as Dean. And he was like, "Hey, I heard you was looking for Tatiana. Here she go right here." I said, "This bitch ain't dead. Where that blood come from in the her apartment?" Bitch, I'm just sitting here like, and he know the family. They sitting down having, he was like, hey, Raina. Hey, Tariq, how you doing? What's up? I'm sitting here like, this ain't good. This man is in too deep. You need to hurry up and take his ass out, Ghost. For real, for real. Tommy out there talking to Holly. Okay. And at this point in time, you know, they had came and got Tommy, okay? Milan people and got his ass and tasered his ass. You know, he's drunk as shit. Motherfucker probably was high. They had him in the warehouse, mind you. Milan, aka Dean, is up in Ghost place and basically telling him, you know, you did the right choice by giving him that cashier check. Fuck with Karen. He was like, Karen don't even want to fuck with me no more. He was like, she likes you, so get back in business with her because you're gonna sell this product in the clubs. And I said, damn. So at this point in time, Ghost had to go up there and pull Tasha to the roof and tell her what was going on. And Tasha let it known that, you know, Angela came out there and was talking to them. And, you know, so he had to tell them everything what was happening, okay? And it's all just a big ass mess. They all gonna go down. If one person go down, all of them go down. And the main person, Ghost, if he definitely go down, I'm sorry about this buzzing, y'all. It's gonna be everybody, everything's gonna fucking fall apart. Bitch, they had Tommy ass up in that warehouse, stripped him to his drawers, okay? And all these niggas was just on his ass. And he was fighting back at one point. I said, Tommy on that shit, bitch. Look at him. It's at least 10 motherfuckers just beating his ass and he is whooping their ass. And the next thing you know, dude was like, kill him. And they just grabbed his ass and just started going in. And Tommy was still fucked. They must have whooped his ass for a good 5 minutes. Tommy stood up and said, that's all you got? Bitch, I said, wait a fucking minute. Whatever you got, I don't want any of it because I want to go to sleep at night and then I want to wake up at a good time. That motherfucker popped right back up. But then they went back in on his ass, okay? And he withstand it. You know, he withstood it. And Milan came out there and was like, you know, the Albanians. Well, we found out that Callahan, he not selling to the Albanians. That's what it was, the Albanians, not the Aryans. I don't know where I got that from. It's an A. Okay, the Albanians anymore. It was like, whoever he was talking to or whatever, they said that you was dumb. But, you know, kind of found out, you really are valuable. You smart on your feet, but you did disobey me, okay? I said kill that motherfucker. But, you know, what you got to lose? See, he is an asset to Milan right about now because he realizes that Tommy ain't got shit else to lose because he said, you can go ahead and kill me right now, bitch. All right? And he was like, oh, you have no family, you have no friends, bitch. This is something good for him. Okay? He ain't got shit to live for. He was like, well, what a time it is to be alive right about now. I said, Milan, what are you finna do? You finna fuck some shit up in the process, child. And so, the episode ends with Angela coming over there to Jane's house or a place or whatever, trying to see what's going on, who was the leak and all this stuff. Trying to get him to admit it and all this stuff. And I'm sitting here like, you really thought that he was going to say that it was him that did it, that him that, you know, killed Lobos, and he was going to really tell you exactly who he got his source from, you know, right then and there. No, he knocks her down on that bed. I said, this ain't the time for horseplay. You finna rape her? What the hell is going on? We not finna do foreplay and do all that. I like it rough. I'm gonna get back with you. Angry sex type of shit, because I ain't got time for it. And he was just trying to check and see if she had a why. I said, thank God John wasn't finna have sex, because I was getting a little bit tired of it, right? I need to see him have sex with a new bitch. I really do. No shade, but I really do. And I need Tasha to get it in with somebody too. Cause, you know, she was just cut short. Anyway, basically, he wouldn't tell her, and she was looking like, so you was playing me? So you gonna let me go down with the death penalty? I was like, what MJ was saying and what your sister was saying was kind of true. He did kind of play her a little bit, but you know, he ran after her and all that stuff. And of course, next week they gonna be working together. She was like, bitch, we're not lovers, we're not friends, we're just working together so we can save each other ass. And she said, I don't have no fucking wire, because if I had a wire, that means if I go down, you go down, and if you go down, bitch, I go down, and I ain't trying to do that shit. But this episode was cute. Y'all tell me how y'all feel about it, and I will see y'all later. They really killed my nigga Lobos. I don't think he did. I don't care what nobody say, bitch. He ain't dead. Fuck all that. I'm gonna live in my world of delusion. Y'all tell me how y'all feel about that. Peace.